Oh gosh, I didn't even know you guys were here already. Hang on. Alexa, stop. Oh man, sorry guys. I was too busy jamming. But I guess it's time for our Ela lesson of the day. So we're going to look at something that we've looked at a lot before. We've worked a lot on plot this year. We worked on it with Esperanza Rising, and you know what? The Watsons Go to Birmingham, and pretty much every other story or text that we've read. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this anchor chart with you that you've seen before. This is just review. But it's good review because it's really important that we keep this in our minds as we're reading texts. That way we can understand how the events of the story fit together. So first, what is plot? Oh, I'm used to you guys talking to me when I ask you a question, but I guess you just get to listen to me today. So plot is the basic sequence of events in a story or a text. You might be wondering, well, okay, that makes sense, but what are the pieces of plot? So we've got the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. And what I'm going to do with you right now is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to briefly talk to you about each one. That way you'll be able to understand really well before we start our activity for today. So the exposition, as you can see, is an introduction that provides necessary details about characters and setting. That's where our story begins. That's where the author decides to introduce us to our characters and let us know where our characters live, what time period. That's also important. The rising action. Now, this is the part of the story that develops the problem or the conflict through a series of events that build interest and suspense. So this part of the story can actually almost last pretty much the whole story. You know, in Esperanza Rising, we didn't get to the climax until close to the end, and there wasn't a whole lot of falling action or resolution. Most of the story was actually spent in rising action. So now on the climax. That's the turning point of the story. It's the most exciting point. So the suspense has been building and building and building, and we're so interested. We want to know what happens. We want to know how the problem's solved. So this is the turning point of the story where that problem or the conflict, it reaches its peak, and we're like, what's going to happen next? Like, we just really, really want to know. So the falling action, those are the events after the climax or the turning point that leads to the resolution. The resolution is the conclusion. We find out, how was the problem solved? What happened? Is everybody okay? Is there some kind of drama that happened that, wound up not turning out the way that we thought that it was? So it's the conclusion of the story that reveals the solution to the problem or the conflict. So that was just a quick review of plot. I just almost fell off my chair. Be careful when you're sitting down, guys. It's dangerous, evidently. So if you look at your class kit for today's ELA lesson, you will see that we've got two statements. We've got a statement of what we'll do, and then we've got a statement of what you are going to be able to do based on what I've told you today. So today we're going to use Plot Mountain to show that we understand how a series of events fits together to provide the overall structure for Number the Stars. You can also look at the I can statement, and that says, I can organize story events to show how each event fits into the overall structure of a story. You also have a handy dandy copy of our wonderful anchor chart that I made for you guys. That's also in your class kit. That way you can reference it if you don't want to go back and watch the whole video again. But let's be real. You're totally going to want to watch the video again. All right, so then on your next slide, you'll see you've got the Number the Stars plot diagram. Now, the directions say, cut out the pieces of the plot diagram. I repeat, I do not want you to cut your iPad to cut out the pieces at the bottom. okay? We've made them draggable. That way, you can just drag them up to the correct area. So if you will look on your class kit, on that page, you will see that down at the bottom, you've got all of those pieces. You've got all of those events that happened in the story. And you've got to decide, what is the exposition? What pieces are part of the rising action? What is that climax, guys? And then, what's the falling action, and then what's the resolution? Shelby, it's okay. That's my doggie, Shelby. You'll get to see her, I'm sure, over the next few weeks or so. So Shelby thinks that what you should do now is go to your class kit and check everything out. If you've got any questions, make sure that you contact your teacher or let us know. That way we can help you out. But I think that my awesome video should be good enough. So go ahead, try that out, see what you think. If you've got questions, like I said, right there on your class kit, you can send a message to your teacher or raise your hand, okay? All right, I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.